What is up, my Lorcana Goons, and welcome back to the Lorcana Goons channel. You're watching the Monday Weekly Meta Watch, where Zach Stone and I go over meta trends, your deck lists from this weekend, and what we think is going to be the future of the format, especially post-rotation. You know, Set 9 is coming out very soon. We have some pretty cool deck lists that have been doing well from Set Championships, starting off with this Amber Steel deck list titled The Deck, piloted by Goo902, aka Chris Martinez, my cousin, who's a member of Team Goons. And Zach Stone, you actually had to play against them in top 4 of this tournament, right? You guys went to the same tournament. Zach Stone over here ended up taking first place of that set championships. It was an awesome weekend for Team Lorcana Goons, aka the Goons squad community. Very cool. We're actually here with Chris, who's going to talk to us about the deck a little bit. A little bit of lore, some hidden lore for the Lorcana Goons squad about this deck. Chris actually kind of made this deck after some lists that we were sharing together back during set 2. As you can see, there is no whole new world in this Amber Steel deck list, but you're still playing all of the singers. You have Cinderella, Troubadour, Ursula, and Ariel, and then you have some late game cards to complement this strategy, like you have Forgotten Me, Surfer Stitch, and Ariel Sonic Warrior, even Namari, playing 4 Namari in this deck. Chris, how was your tournament experience? How do you feel having to lose against Zach Stone in top 4? And what do you feel about Amber Steel in the future of Lorcana?
Hello, this is Chris from Lorcana Goons. Yes, Zach was a very tough opponent, and he basically knew my strategy of not playing Whole New World. I really did enjoy playing this deck a lot. It plays just like the Whole New World version, except for your draw power, all you really have is Rapunzel and Surfer Stitch. Zach Stone was a very tough opponent. He took it down, and I'm not upset that I lost to him at all. If I was going to lose to anybody, I'm very glad it was fellow Lorcana Goons member Zach Stone.
Zach, what was your experience in the tournament as well? And like, how did the game go? Like, obviously, you kind of know Chris's. Well, actually, did you know Chris's deck list that day? Like, were you guys talking about it? Because I didn't know. Chris just texted me randomly while I was at work, and he was like, "Oh, guess what? I made top 8 with the deck." And as soon as he said that, I was like, "No way! Are you playing You Have Forgotten Me, Surfer Stitch, and Beast?"
Yeah, so my tournament experience was very amazing. You know, shout outs to Rob, aka Red Saber Games. I went over there to Collectible Exchange. That's where he's at. And honestly, a great tournament organizer, a good buddy of mine. And I was honestly, I was pretty much expecting more of a red blue meta, and that's kind of what I faced in Swiss and in Top Cut. But overall, the tournament experience was great. I did know Chris was kind of on this strategy because this was during our set 3 champs run when we were just kind of playing this kind of strategy and trying to earn ourselves the Rockstar Stitch in the champion mat. I do remember one time though when it's when Chris and I won during set 3. We both switched to a Whole New World version and we're like, we were just playing the game on hard mode this whole time. Whole New World's broken. Anyway, this is actually a nice deck theme because the concept is you do play the early start very similar to like normal Amber Steel song. So your opponents are going to be anticipating the Whole New World and the shift packages and all that stuff. So they're going to be like not drawing cards. They're going to be inking their draw cards, trying to play more characters onto the board, all while you're just gaining tempo and value, and you do not have a Whole New World in your deck. So your opponent is just going to get caught off guard, and it's going to, be on like a surprise factor. This deck, the better this deck is the less it's more known. So once more people are aware of it, the deck is not as broken. But overall, the matchup that I was facing, because I was on green purple discard, and I already knew that without a Whole New World that there's nothing that he can top deck, and my discard cards are just going to like destroy him later on into the game. Plus he has like no real answers to evasive characters outside of like Sonic Warrior and any song removal he has. So if I just stuck the evasive bodies, I knew I was good.
When people are not aware that I am not using Whole New World, the matchups are a lot easier because people will do things like inking friends, inking finders keepers, inking Tamatoa happy as a clam, and they ink all their draw power, expecting me to refill their hand, and they ink all their good value cards. And so they dump all their little guys onto the board, and I'm able to clean it up easily with Tinkerbell, with Aerial Sonic Warrior, with all my songs, with Grab Your Sword. And then they're thinking like, okay, when am I going to get my hand refilled? And the answer is never, because I'm never going to Whole New World. And most people would come up to me after the match when we were done, and they would ask me, hey, Chris, are you playing Whole New World? And I would be like, no. And then they would say, like, oh, okay, I thought something was up. And so that's the big strategy. That's the big reveal that people will play differently, anticipating whole new world, and it just never comes. So my matchups became pretty easy.
That's so fun. That is like my favorite part about like this deck strategy. Obviously, in like top cut of a DLC, you have to share your deck list with an opponent, so maybe this strategy might not work in that scenario. But there are some situations where it doesn't matter anyway because you just have way more tempo and value cards in this deck.
Every time I dropped Serpent Stitch and drew two, my opponents just like dropped their face, like, "Oh my god, that is such a great card."
And another Amber Steel list from our Discord doing well at their set championships. Huge shout out to Honey Wizard 101 with his Chifu's Flying Lady deck list. This is another take on Amber Steel that we've been seeing very popularized in this format, mainly relying on Dock as your draw engine instead of something like Surfer Stitch. And I feel like might be where Amber Steel's headed towards more in the future post rotation because we know we're not getting Whole New World in set 9. So you can see we have a lot of the aggro characters. Piglets, me, Lawrence can quest for 2, Chifu can quest for 3 actually, if this character has no damage. So it's actually pretty decent to combo that off with, say, something like Rapunzel or maybe even your Goof groundbreaking chef next format, right, guys?
Yeah, I can see Ember Steel honestly taking a lot of different paths, but this is definitely more of like a cookie cutter aggro list, and a lot of these cards are returning. So get ready, guys. It's going to be a whole heck of a format.
Here we have another Amber Steel list by Crystal G. Let's take a crack. I believe this was their first set championships, and they made it into top 8, so that's pretty cool. I want to highlight some spicy text in this Amber Steel list. Like Captain Hook, the Forceful Duelist. This is a reprint card, a card from set 1 that's got reprinted in set 8, and I just think this card's so good. It's going to be even better next format when the game slows down a little bit, being able to play a 1-cost character that can challenge and banish any 3 willpower character. Daisy's still going to be in the meta next format, so that's going to be kind of hard to play around, but we are getting some more characters in the meta that are going to be able to boost strength up, like the Mega Ruff for Emerald or the Steel characters that give Challenger like Jafar. But another card I want to highlight, the Darling Deer. This is a pretty aggro card, a 5-cost inkable, 4 strength, 4 willpower. When you play this character, chosen character gets +2 lore this turn, so you can quest for 4 with your Sven, your Rhino, your Smee that turn. Kind of nice, no?
Yes, your Piglet can also quest for 5. That is pretty scary.
I'd actually like to bring up that Lilo that's coming out in the new Fabled set. I think that's going to be a really good tool for a deck like this.
Yeah, that Steel Lilo looks pretty good. It's a new enchanted rare that has some synergy with your alien characters, if I'm not mistaken. And speaking of aliens, huge shout out to Alien Andy, aka High Roll Games LLC over here, for taking it down with their Amber Steel deck list. This list looks a little bit similar to Chris's list. However, no Whole New World. Instead, Beyond the Horizon is what they're going to be using. So there is a world where instead of Whole New World, you just kind of rely on Beyond the Horizon, but we don't know if Ariel Spectacular Singer is going to make it back its way into the format yet. But there is the 4-cost Ariel that you can play instead, right? This list is playing Genie. This is the Genie that during your turn gains evasive. It's a 3-cost Steel character, 3 strength, 4 willpower. This is kind of nice, a decent way to out opposing Diablos or other evasive characters that might be problematic. You don't have any ways to give it more strength, so it is going to be kind of rough to be able to swing into a shark or a genie with this character, but for the most part, you're adding more evasive tools into your deck. Going forward, though, what do you think about Amber Steel? Like, can you still play this deck and maybe use the Ariel Singer 7 instead?
I think that playing Troubadour on 2 and then playing a 3-drop on 3 is a good setup for singing Beyond the Horizon on turn 4.
I do want to kind of mention, though, that we are seeing the Tinkerbells that you were playing in the deck come back. And it's the uninkable 4-cost 1/4 that it's like a Be Our Guest on play, and the Giant Fairy that we all love from set 1. But something I want to mention, and I did talk this with you about, I mention this to you, Chris, is the Huey from Reign of Jafar. He's a 2-drop, 2/3 that when you quest, you can play a character for 1 less for free. So imagine going Huey on 2, questing, playing Tinkerbell on 3, and then shifting on 4 with the Giant Fairy. I think there's a lot of room there to build upon. Yeah,
cool.
yeah. There's some interesting lines, I think. So
Yeah.
Amber Steel could become more of like a mid-range strategy. I think it has a lot of its aggressive tools still. So who knows? The future is bright for Amber Steel, even though we are going to lose some of my favorites like Cindy and Rapunzel, as of right now, because they're not confirmed graduated into the Fabled set. But this is what we're looking at as far as the more confirmed rotation cards, the cards that will be into the new competitive constructed. And it's a good skeleton to look at. I do want to kind of highlight a couple things like I find in my Flat Diamond World's Greatest Criminal Mind. These are some song tools that Amber Steel has access to, but without Ariel Spectacular Singer, we might not have justification to be playing as many as we used to. But Chris, do you have any insight as the deck piloter?
The world's greatest criminal mind. For that card specifically, I think I would have to see what the meta looks like. Are there a lot of characters that have 5 willpower, or I mean strength, or more? Are there enough of those for me to want to play World's Greatest Criminal Mind? And right now, Sapphire has a lot of good items. The item deck, like Maurice's Workshop, makes Finding My Platinum a really good card, and I'm just not sure if there's going to be that many items in the next format to justify playing that card. So I think it's more of a wait and see kind of thing. Aerial Sonic Warrior is obviously going to be really good with any kind of song you play, so there's also that.
Yeah, I think post rotation you kind of pivot this deck to be a little bit more mid-range tempo. I know a lot of people are talking about combos with Circle of Life with the Big Mickey and Amber Steel, but I think it's better to do it with the Surfer Stitch, right? Turn 1 Mulan, you pitch your Surfer Stitch. Turn 2, you set up a Troubadour. Turn 3, you set up another Singer, and then you can sing cards like Beyond the Horizon, Circle of Life already. Bring back your Surfer Stitch, possibly refill your hand. I think that's kind of where it's going. I like that you mentioned the Tinkerbell Zac in this deck with that Huey line. That seems really good. And we're going to keep Shift Rhino. We're keeping Shift Rhino, Strength of a Raging Fire. I feel like that's a good combo line regardless, just to kind of set up. Or Troubadour, these are some good singers. So Amber Steel post rotation, let us know what you guys think in the comments below, what you guys are going to add to the deck, what's coming out. Are you going to play the aerial singers that's been confirmed rotation? Do you think they're going to give us better shift targets for this aerial? Let us know down below. Amber Steel enjoyers. And next up here we have the first place deck list from that tournament from none other than Zach Stone himself. Zach, I'll let you take it away from here.
Yes, everyone, I got to finally play in a set champs. It's not often that I get to play in set champs with my busy schedule. However, I had the opportunity. I got somebody to cover for me at the Frankenson show, and I got to play. And I've been saying it for a while, guys. Green purple is just the best deck in the format. And I had to let them know. So it's up on the screen here, and it's a very similar list than what I saw Bannable Harka put up on Dreamborn. I just made one card difference, so shout outs to you. But this is honestly a very clean, solid list. I've been playing it the past few weeks at my local game store, and I was actually winning like locals back to back. And I was struggling to win locals with like other decks I was trying out. So I was kind of getting a little frustrated. It's honestly very strong. The Discord package is obscenely good. I think Diablo and Prince John not coming back is actually might be a good thing for the meta after playing a deck like this. And overall, Wrong Lever is just an insane, like the pull lever, wrong lever package is insane. It has the best single target removal out of any of like the purple combinations. Because if I'm being honest, like red purple doesn't have as much single target removal as this deck does with like Bruno's and now the Wrong Levers, and you have Elsa. So there's so much more like versatility and toolbox cards, and you have Ursula Deceiver to rip songs. I can go on and on and on, but with the sake of time, the list was very solid. I don't think I'd make any changes. Everything was perfect. Like the one chip came up against a red blue player, discarding the last card in hand, which was Popsicle, and he had workshops to play. So like so many things lined up. And then the one Ursula Singer felt really good too, because it's like adding additional threats. And I double sing friends a few times, and even being able to double sing Sudden Bill, which I never got to do, is actually very strong. So this deck is very clean. If you got any set champs left, I do highly recommend green purple discard.
Yeah, I like green purple. It's one of those decks that just is very versatile. It does everything. It has evasives. You have removal, like you pointed out with Bruno and now Wrong Lever. And I do think that Wrong Lever, Pull the Lever combo is going to be super relevant next format, especially if we don't see the return of certain cards like Dragonfire, Brawl, these one-shot ping cards. Let it go. Cards like that are very, very effective against just like big bodies. With Wrong Lever is one of the few that's left. Oh, there's a reason why that enchanted is like $150. But post rotation, Zach, there's a lot of cards in here that haven't been confirmed yet or just might not be here. You mentioned Prince John, Diablo, Bruno, Friends on the Other Side, Sudden Chill. A lot of the songs, the Brooms, first of all, that's a big one. Peter Pan, Shadowfinder, a lot of these we don't know. if they're returning. Chris, how do you feel since you had to play against this deck in top four? If this deck changes its overall strategy, no Prince John, no Diablo, do you think it's still going to be as scary?
It's a tough one because Prince John is a really crazy card. The ward makes him a very difficult character to get off the board, and the Diablo is one of those cards where if you cannot get rid of it, you're basically going to lose the game because your opponent is going to outvalue you. But I do think that this deck is very viable post rotation. I'm just not sure what direction it's going to go, but I have faith because the Emerald cards are very annoying to deal with, and purple cards is just value town.
Next up, we're gonna go over a spicy deck list. This list was from a top 8 set championships in our local area. Huge shout out to Dan, aka Sir Dan K over here, for getting top 8 out of this set champs with aggro warded heroes. I am super excited because Dan and I were just practicing at our booth like 2 weeks ago just for fun, and he was cooking me with this deck. It was getting there, and I was letting him know like, yeah, this deck can win a set champs like easy. And he was hitting me with the I don't know, I don't play enough and this and that. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. And never doubt your ability to win a card game tournament. Anybody can win. Sometimes luck is on your side. Sometimes you're having the best day ever. The skills just hit you. People play differently. People straight up play differently when they're under pressure and when they're in the tournament landscape. Whether that be they played better, they played worse. I genuinely feel like you should just not ever doubt yourself and hold yourself back because look at this, man. Blue yellow in the top 8 of a SoCal set championship. Love to see it. What about you guys? Is this a deck that you guys would ever think to play at it? It's just an aggro deck.
I definitely would play something like this at a set champs at least once. And I totally agree with you, Kevin. Do not ever doubt yourself. And I love it when people tell me, hey, this is my very first big tournament. And then I see them in the top 8. And it makes me really happy because I know that's going to entice them to want to play in more bigger tournaments. And they're just only going to get better from there. And it's always good to see a deck like this in the top cut.
There's so many characters here that have a lot of lore gaining abilities, and to just see that many early characters with like 2 lore, 3 lore, it's scary and it's hard to deal with. And there's some decks that just don't have that many removal tools, and we don't know how many more removal tools will be available after the current rotation. So this is going to get even scarier. We are going to see some cards not come back in this deck, but I don't think enough. I don't think enough for me to think that this deck can't do some damage in the next set.
Yeah, I feel like most of these cards are pretty safe outside of Rapunzel and Popsicle. And if they give us Popsicle back, see, that's what I like about this aggro deck too. You can open up Bell Popsicle sometimes, and that's going to keep your 2 lore questers pretty safe. If not, when your opponent decides to swing into that Piglet, you already have a 3 strength character to counter their swing. So it's a very strong strategy. That's the reason why I hope they bring Popsicle back so that you can still play decks like this. But, with the way the color patterns are changing, maybe blue-yellow might just be the aggro deck you're looking for. Next up, we have a Blurple deck list from Degenerate Sage over here, a top 4 set champs list, Violet Riot. I do want to point out, I believe Degenerate Sage said in the Discord that Zach Stone felt a little unimpressed by his Amber Steel deck last video, and he said, you know what, I'm going to switch it up, I'm going to add some spice, and he went and took it down, got top 4 with Blurple. So Zach, I got to ask you now, is this spicy enough for you?
I'm impressed to find out I make an impact on people's lives like that. I'm more encouraging you to do better, and that's what you did, and it's awesome. And I gotta admit, this one's a little bit more spicier. I like the Peter Pan Shadow plus the Monstro, and we will see that continue into the next competitive constructed meta. I'm excited.
Next up, we have another Blurple top deck list by Yamas Lasagna. So if you guys are playing Blurple, maybe you guys want to try out some of these spicy techs like the 4 copies of Rafiki Mystical Fighter. And we're not sure if this guy's coming back, but this guy is very strong. This card is very good in this deck. It's the reason why I think Captain Hook is going to be good next format, right? But you guys can add the Camilo Madrigal to your deck. This is a 6-cost legendary character. Bro was playing 3 of them. 3 strength, 7 willpower. It says whenever this character quests, you may gain lore equal to the lore of another chosen character of yours. Then you return that character to your hand. And he's playing goats. He's playing rabbits. So you have some pretty decent bounce targets, right, Chris?
Yeah, I really like the synergy also with the Hades and the Elsa. The Hades will be able to send a character into the inkwell on play, and then you would be able to quest with the Bruno, and then you would be able to put the Hades back to your hand for a kind of a never-ending loop. The same thing can be done with Elsa to keep 2 cards permanently exerted. And also, of course, a lot of lore gained by playing Goat, questing with the Bruno. And also that Ratigan is pretty hefty character to deal with. I had to play against that during the set champs against Blurple. They played that big Ratigan, and with Ward, my songs were no use against that card. So there's a lot of lore gain potential. You can really go from 0 to 100 with this deck pretty fast.
And last but not least, on the Blurple side of things, we have a set champs first place deck list by none other than Saucy, another member of Team Goons, the Goon Squad. Awesome to see, bro. Team Goons up this weekend. You had Chris, you had Saucy, and just dominating their set championships. A very interesting list, by the way. Huge shout out to Saucy. He's always in our Discord, so if you guys have any questions about the metagame, please ask questions there, and he's one of the first people to reply. Super good player too. 3 copies of Royal Guard, 1 Diablo. The 4 1 cost character ratio here is insane. The 1 Diablo, right? I do like Royal Guard a lot. This card has the ability to gain Challenger +1 per every card you draw, so at least it's going to have 2 strength on your turn because you draw for your turn, right? Then if you end up using something like Genie, Friends on the other side, Finders Keepers, this character can swing for a lot of strength for only being 1 cost.
Yeah, I do want to admit that there's Panic and there's some other spicy cards in this list that I'm honestly excited to see a Blurple go in almost a different route. I know some lists were not playing Fox, and there's other lists that had the Ana in it. So there's so many different cards that Blurple can explore now. We don't know Popsicle and Bell and Friends are just going to be the standard anymore. We might have to play some one-drop characters, but I think that's fine. I think that there's so many more tools that Blurple actually has access to that they're not even considering just yet because there's not enough cards that are coming back. So overall, I'm pretty excited because I think some of the cards that I think are important to bring up are the Hades that is coming back, and as well as the Ratigan. I know that Ratigan and Greatstone Dragon is something I talked about a lot as being like a little combination package, and Greatstone isn't going to return, so that means that combo won't be viable anymore. But there's other items and other cards that also gain you extra cards in your Inkwell. There's the Kita, the 4-drop Kita, and there's other cards to definitely consider. So Blurple's still going to be in a good spot. It's going to go a different direction for now. And we do have on screen just some of the cards that will be for sure confirmed rotating back in. We do see Tamatoa here without Popsicle. So I don't believe Tamatoa is going to see any more play if Popsicle doesn't return because it's a major just draw package and a little bit of a tempo swing.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough without Friends and without Popsicle. I'm not sure what kind of route Blurple is going to take. Monstro, I think, is a very powerful card, but missing that other draw power, it's going to be tough. Finders Keepers is a good card to keep. I'm not too familiar with Blurple and how they play, but I still have faith because a lot of their cards still seem really good, like Tamatoa.
They're not going to have Merlin Crab.
Yeah, no Crab, no Fox. I think there's a lot missing from this color combo, and it's funny because a lot of people are like, "Oh, Blurple's eating," all the evasive. There's a lot of evasive support. There's a lot of evasive support, and you get Hades back, but no Popsicle. I feel is a big deal. No Crab, like you said, no Fox, no Goats.
I think you still play Bell without Popsicle. You think you just play an item and kill it?
Really, I think the beauty of Bell plus Popsicle is that you don't lose any value. But if I play like a Scepter of Arendelle turn 1 and I pop it with Bell, I'm gonna be sad. Like it's a good card. It's still a good card, right? Because you're playing a 3-cost character on turn 1. But I don't know. You can't even sing Friends on the other side after.
I think Bell deserves a more place in like a red-blue item list with the Shift Bell and the unconventional tool, I think is what it's called. So there's going to be some plays with Bell, but maybe not in Blurple anymore. And sad times, but it's okay. Blurple's just going to have a different path.
Next up, we have a Ruby Amethyst deck list here by Kyle Ponce. This is a list from a top 8 set championships, and right off the bat, the first card I'm noticing is this Mother Gothel, 2-cost uninkable character, 1 strength, 3 willpower. It kind of has a double ability where you deal damage to one of your characters. That character now has Challenger +1, and an extra ability that says when this character is banished in a challenge, it goes back to your hand. So some interesting combos to be able to deal some extra damage to your character if you want to do that before a swing. But Ruby Amethyst, I think, is one of my favorite deck lists, and I'm excited to try it out next format. But I do feel like we are heavily reliant on this Genie Shark combo going on, and without Peter Pan Shadowfinder, I wonder where it's going to end up.
And here we have a fellow Goon Squad supporter, aka Redmond, a member of Team Salty Ducks, and he took down a set champs the other day with Ruby Am, and it's the Shark variant. I do got to say, Shark is going to crush it into the next format. I do think that this is a card to be very scared about. But in this list, I don't see Shark in a Pirate's Life. I just see Friends, Brawls, and B Preps. It just sounds like you need to draw cards and remove characters. And that's all you need to do with this deck. You're going to get tons of value with the Amethyst package, and you have all the removal tools you need.
And a huge shout out to Shayna Warden for locking in that top 8 set championship with their Ruby Amethyst very aggressive evasive deck. And I feel like especially going into this new meta with that Dumbo that's coming out, a lot of people are kind of mentioning how evasives might be overpowered next format, right? We do have Pirates Life coming back too, Zach, and you did mention that Maui Half Shark is going to be a killer card going into set 9, especially I think with Pirates Life. I kind of like this list a lot, a post-rotation. We're not sure if Chernobog Followers is sticking around, but that's okay. You can still play Diablo on turn 1. Instead of Pegasus, you can play the new Vanellope Von Sweets, which is essentially the same card. Extra evasive characters in this deck, like the Archimedes from Shimmering Skies, alongside the Moana 4-cost evasive character. That's pretty cool to see. This character will also boost your characters up by 3 strength if she challenges. So it's a very clean way to get some tempo swings. And here's some spicy tech cards that I've never seen really played in Ruby Amethyst. Sumerian Talisman, a 3-cost item that says during your turn, whenever one of your characters is banished in a challenge, you can draw a card. So a pretty clean way to get some nice efficient trades. Maybe you set this up and the following turns you start playing Elsa, Maui, and you get some really good value trades. But I think with the addition of Dumbo, maybe Pinocchio Strings Attached, some extra evasive support coming soon, Ruby Amethyst might pivot to a straight up just evasive Shark deck. Chris, you played Ruby Amethyst alongside some of the other decks you like to play. How do you feel about Ruby Amethyst going into the new format?
I'm actually very excited for Ruby Amethyst going into the next format. That is probably the first deck I will be using because I really like the purple cards, I really like the red cards, and the new Hades 7 ink card is one of my favorite cards in the game. I'm just excited for Ruby Amethyst going forward, to be honest, because I think they have those really good cards. Finders Keepers for draws, Pirates Life. I just feel like this is the deck that can do almost everything.
Now we have one of my favorite color combinations. My favorite color combinations just back to back. Ruby Amethyst, and now we have Haybard 4 with an Emerald Amber aggro deck list. Very interesting. We got the Rockstar Stitch combo going on in this deck. And now that I see this, and now that I see that he did well at his set championships, we can run this next format, guys. We don't need Rapunzel. You clearly don't need a Rapunzel. Is this ready for the new format? I think aside from Pegasus, the Cloud Racer, and Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo, most of these cards are gonna be ready to go for set 9. Do you know if we're getting Stitch new dog, Zach?
I don't think the one drop has a confirmed graduated printing yet, but the 2-3 does.
Oh yes.
So we do have a 2-drop shift target. I have been talking about, funny enough, I've been talking to people about Amber Emerald Rockstar Stitch strategy decks being viable into the next set. And honestly, I'm glad somebody did it. I'm confident there's going to be a lot of ways to build around this.
I think it's going to do a lot of good things in the upcoming format, especially because we're going to be able to see cards shine like the Tramp Dapper Rascal. I think Clarabelle does wonders in this deck, and I'd like to think that that the Lorcana Goons space influenced that Clarabelle decision a little bit, because I've been sharing my Amber Emerald deck in the Discord for a while, and I've always had Clarabelle in there. I think the 3-cost Clarabelle Contendant Wallflower is so strong in this deck because oftentimes you're just trying to get to 20 faster than the opponent, right? So sometimes that means that you have less cards in the hand than your opponent does, and top decking this Clarabelle is just so clutch when you just need those last like 4 lore, because you can draw a Clarabelle on 5 ink, you play it, and you top deck a Piglet. That's exactly 5 ink, bro, and you're just chilling. Next turn you're gonna quest for maybe 4. It's so clean. All right, and now we have a Christmas deck list by Danny D17. Huge shout out to you for making it to top 8 of your set championships with a color combo that is definitely slept on, and I feel like this color combo is gonna take a hard pivot in what you have to do with it next format. It gets kind of crazy, right? The last 3 weeks have been everyone just trying out red green and realizing, oh, you can actually win with this deck, right? But it feels a little too late now. We might lose Prince John, we might lose Diablo, Sudden Chill, Bruno. We just don't know yet. But Chris, have you played against this deck yet?
I have actually never played against this deck, I don't think. Maybe once. I see a few evasives, and I do see a few discard strategy. I'm guessing that it is similar to green purple. But the one Be Prepared is very interesting to me, and I'm not really familiar like the Joe Mouse and the what else is it? The Undermine. Yeah, I'm not really sure what those cards do. Can we talk about those?
Yeah, so Dormouse is a pretty cool card. It's a 2-cost character, inkable, 1 strength, 2 willpower that says when you play this character, you put 1 damage counter on a character. It's a pretty simple ability. You just basically ping 1 damage, but there's not that many characters in Lorcana that do this, and it adds the damage counter without necessarily dealing damage. So this gets around resist characters.
Well, that would be good for taking down Rhino.
Exactly. It's really good for taking down Rhino. It takes away its resist immediately. And then you can maybe combo it off with Undermine, a 2-cost inkable action that says give a character +2 strength this turn, and then chosen opponent discards a card.
I do just want to mention that Dormouse being able to put a damage counter on any character means your Queen of Hearts can also become a 4 strength character immediately because of that. So it's something to
Ooh.
consider too. You did talk about getting around the resist, which is pretty important, but you can also kind of like surprise get rid of some characters. Like imagine they just go like Chernobog's followers, and then next turn because you're on the play, you go Dormouse, remove Chernobog's followers, and it's just a big tempo swing as
Oof.
early
Yeah.
as turn 2. So
Yeah.
I really think that card can be a very clutch card in certain scenarios, and it's going to force people to think about it for sure in the next set.
Well, I'm not sure how you begin to play this color combo next format because looking at the cards here of what we have left over, all of our discard engine is mostly gone outside of Undermine and Chip. And without Prince John, I feel like the discard engine might not be the way you want to go, but we are getting Hidden Cove back. We're getting Ursula Deceiver, which is just a very strong card. And Maui Shark just looks like it's going to be the card. I accidentally put Maui Hero to All here. I think that's just me coping because I think that's also what makes this deck very good is being able to play the Ruby cards that act as removal, right? Be Prepared, Brawl, Maui Hero to All. These cards are like all the types of removal that are very important because you don't really have removal that's low cost or like very efficient in this color combo. But Lilo causing an uproar, this card was very good in this strat because you played a lot of low cost actions and a lot of those actions are getting rotated out. So I am curious to see where green red is going to land in the future of Lorcana, but I would like to see more of this like Dormouse adding damage counter strategy to this color combo. And last but not least, we have another Sapphire Steel Allies deck by Solo Falcon. He did this last week. He made it all the way to his top cut of set champs, and I believe this time he lost in top 4. Some cool cards that he wanted to point out. Vincenzo Santorini is apparently a very strong card in this deck list. And I think if we don't see the return of Brawl, Madame Medusa, cards like that, Vincenzo just might be the card to play in Sapphire Steel. I feel like I've been trying to make Sapphire Steel Allies work as a deck, and a whole new world is usually where I'm seeing people kind of land on how to play this deck. And without Whole New World, maybe you play Beyond the Horizon instead. But I don't know, man. The ability to play a 1-cost Jasmine, then shift immediately into a 4-cost character just feels very strong. Solo Falcon is playing Zeus. Know how Faro goes, grab your sword. So there are some interesting lines there you can use. But outside of that, you really are just trying to take advantage of this Jasmine's ability to quest and dig for allies. Because you have some pretty strong ones. Doc, Vincenzo, Tinkerbell, even Monterey Jack and Hey Hey are some bodyguard allies that you can find off the top and play them to protect your Jasmine, right?
1000%. And honestly, I gotta admit, Solo Falcon, I'm jealous of the amount of Lorcana you get to play, man. It's a lot awesome that you're getting to play every weekend. And I had to barely make time for one, but it's amazing that you're doing also well in each of these set champs and with something very creative. And it's giving people a little bit of the idea of what to look for into the new set, which I've been kind of like prefacing every time I'm talking about a deck list. I'm only thinking about the future now. Like I played in the last set champs that I'm playing in for Jafar. I start thinking about this deck and its ally strategy. It's overall quite impressive with the amount of value it can get, and it still has a decent amount of removal tools. Let's look at Strength of a Raging Fire. Plus, we also have other characters that deal damage, like the Dump Truck, and there's a lot of draw power here with the not only the Jasmine finding characters. You have Doc, and I still think you can fit in the Beyond the Horizon too. But yeah, Chris, is there any blue steel goo you've been thinking about recently?
Not really. It was tough when we lost Flavor Sham, and I thought, maybe the deck wasn't playable anymore. But I do remember that when Miss Bianca first was announced, you, Zach Stone, were telling me about how you wanted to make a blue steel deck revolving around allies, and I do think that is where we might be seeing this deck go in the future.
Oh yeah, that's a really good point. So we're looking at the cards that are going to be kind of left over post rotation. I forgot to add Ms. Bianca in here, but like you just finished saying, Zach, Beyond the Horizon might be one of the best cards to start playing in a more aggro deck like this, and you can combo it off with Ms. Bianca. You'll be able to play Ms. Bianca earlier. We are still going to have our ramp package of Tipo, Sail in the meta, so you could potentially go Tipo, Ms. Bianca, Sing Beyond the Horizon the next turn. I like
Yes,
that.
yes.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I feel like a new format. The first two decks I'm gonna try and build are gonna be Sapphire Steel Ally and Ruby Amethyst. For the reasons that I feel like they have some of the best cards maintaining throughout this rotation. We have Lawrence confirmed. We have Strength of Raging Fire. This Stitch Alien is gonna be really good with the new Lilo Alien support that we're getting. So I'm very excited to try this deck out alongside all of these other set championship decks post rotation though. So once again, huge shout out to everybody who contributes to our Discord. Thank you so much for dropping your deck list, and congrats to everyone who's been doing well at your Reign of Jafar set championships, which are coming to a close very soon. Set 9 is going to be in stores in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So your local game stores, be sure to look out for those. And this week, every single hour, we've just been getting card reveal after card reveal. So it's been kind of hard to build decks because we're still missing like about 120 cards to be revealed from this set. So that's mainly the reason why we're not just going to tell you, oh, build this deck, or here's the way you're going to play this, because we just don't know. They could reprint beat prep, they could not reprint beat prep, and that one card alone will completely change the way people deck build in Lorcana, right guys?
Yes, I think that B prep makes a huge influence on the meta, and it really makes you decide on how you want to play your deck. If there is a B prep, if there is not a B prep, it definitely influences how you build your deck.
I also think too that without Amethyst having like the bounce package and crabs, that we're gonna see a lot of these other like higher statted characters start to fit in more into decks. Or we're not going to value the low strength, high willpower anymore because we have the additional buff. We're really just going to value like high strength and like high willpower. We're going to look at the stats overall before we can start to, give like card value and like kind of like put it in a tier category. I think we do need to kind of see what is coming out before we start doing the tier category. But as far as like deck building combos, like once you see a card get revealed, you can start thinking about what it currently exists, and it only can get better if more cards get revealed, right? So that's kind of my take on it. Until we have everything revealed, we won't have any deck lists built right away, but we are thinking of some crazy ideas. Yes, guys. So overall, there's so many more cards to really think about, and I really am stressing that until all the cards are revealed, we shouldn't really build decks, but getting ideas ready, and I think like testing certain like combinations might be effective, but like to deck build, we need to see what's available because we need to see what we need to be building against and beating. So that's kind of important, and that's another thing I kind of wanted to highlight here. But it's pretty much that. We're ending the Reign of Jafar season. This has been the Meta Watch that we do every Monday, so please check back next week. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and join our Discord with the link down below so you can submit your deck list for the final set champs of this weekend, because we do still want to talk about it. And maybe if all the cards are revealed, we can build some decks with the decks you guys are winning with. So if there's anything, Kevin, you want to add on before we go, let us know. But until then, Lorcana Goons, is there anything, Kevin?
Nope. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you goons next time.